I slept in my backyard tent. Something was already inside. I was 9 years old. Every summer, when my dad hauled the dusty tent bag down from the attic, my sister and I knew our fortress was about to rise. It was our super secret clubhouse, where the entrance fee was 1 cookie, and the password was whatever nonsense word we invented that day. Inside was a glorious chaos of comic books, blankets, and toys. And we never got scolded for the mess. We were city kids, so the thin strip of trees separating our yard from the neighbors was our only idea of a forest. You could see straight through it during the day. But one night, I learned that something could hide in that tiny patch of woods, just out of sight. That was the last night I ever slept in the tent. The day it happened, I woke to the thud of the attic door closing and ran out to see my dad wrestling with the old canvas bag. We could barely eat our breakfast, watching him through the window as he fought with the poles and cursed under his breath. Every time he caught us looking, he'd just smile and wave. He never found the instructions, but he always made it work. That evening, he disappeared into the garage and came back with our little kitchen TV and an extension cord. He'd secretly fixed the TV and run the cord all the way from the house into the tent. A movie night, he declared, as a reward for our report cards. We were ecstatic. That night was perfect. Dad brought us popcorn, candy, and a giant thermos of hot chocolate. He kissed us goodnight, zipped the tent flap, and left us to our marathon of old Disney VHS tapes. I fell asleep to the sound of crickets and cheerful singing. I woke up hours later, my bladder screaming from all that hot chocolate. It was deep into the night. The TV had finished its tape and was now just hissing static, filling the tent with a cold, grey glow. The crickets had fallen silent. The whole world seemed to be holding its breath. Then, with a loud click, the motion sensor porch lights blazed on, and a horrifyingly wrong shadow was thrown against the tent wall. "Dad," I whispered, my voice thick with sleep. An unnatural shriek answered me, like an eagle's cry, but lower, drawn out, and wrong. My eyes locked onto the shadow. It was shaped like a person, but its limbs were stretched and twisted, as if someone had built a human out of wire and pulled on the ends until they were too long. I fumbled for my sister, shaking her sleeping bag. She was curled up deep inside, just the dark, messy top of her head visible. She was a notoriously heavy sleeper, so I wasn't surprised when she didn't move. Heavy, thumping footsteps echoed on the porch as the thing began to circle the tent. The terror came in waves. First the impossible shadow, then the greater terror of it disappearing around the back, leaving me blind. With every slow rotation, it drew closer, until I could hear its fingertips dragging along the fabric right next to me. It was a sound like paper being slowly torn. Suddenly, the TV violently jerked toward the tent's entrance. The thing was pulling the extension cord. The zipper on the flap began to rise as the cord tightened against it. Without thinking, I lunged and ripped the cord from the TV. The sudden release sent the creature stumbling backward with a furious, piercing shriek. In the sudden silence, I heard my sister stir in her sleeping bag. Then I saw it. A tiny gap in the zipper, and sliding through it, a single finger. It was long and wrong, covered in something that looked like a lizard's scales but more porous, almost rotting. I didn't scream. I couldn't. I pressed myself against the floor of the tent, my heart slamming against my ribs, and I just watched as the finger slowly, deliberately, scraped along the fabric. It wasn't trying to grab me. It was searching, feeling the air. I held my breath, and after what felt like an eternity, the finger withdrew. The zipper gap remained open. I lay there motionless, staring at that dark slit, waiting for it to come back. It didn't. I heard its footsteps retreating, crunching away toward the woods. Even when the porch lights finally shut off 10 minutes later, I didn't move. I imagined myself a brave soldier guarding a gate, until exhaustion finally took me. The morning sun woke me. I could still see my sister's form curled up in her sleeping bag. I flew out of the tent, zipping it closed behind me to protect her, and sprinted for the house to get my dad. But as I reached the patio door, I froze. My sister was sitting at the kitchen table, swinging her legs and happily eating her favorite chocolate cereal. A slow, creeping dread made me turn my head back towards the tent. The zipper was sliding up from the inside. I caught just a glimpse of something running out and into the woods. Something with dark, matted hair and strange, wrong proportions. It was smaller than what had been outside my tent the night before. My sister had woken up long before me. The click of the VHS tape ending had roused her, and she'd gone inside where it was warmer. I had been sleeping beside that thing all night. I had been guarding it. Years later, as an adult, I asked my dad about that night. He was quiet for a long moment, staring out the window. Finally, he said, "Son, I never told you this, but the next morning, when I went to take down the tent, there were 2 sets of footprints in the dew. One was yours. The other was much smaller, like someone your age had been walking barefoot. And the strange thing was," he paused, and I saw his hands tighten around his coffee cup. "Those smaller footprints, son, they weren't leading toward the tent. They were already inside. They were leading out. I haven't slept in a tent since, and I never will again."